What's going on, patrons from around the world? It's me, Jeremy Alexander Newsome, small box, with your boy Brian Masterson, big box down there on Skype. Hope everyone's doing absolutely sensational. We had another guest that had an appointment conflict or confrontation, so me and Brian said, hey, or is the term Brian and I? We're going to rock this out. Yeah, so today we're talking the future of video games. What does that look like, and what does that mean for you? Let's rock. All right. Brian, how much video games do you play? Zero, right?
If I had the time, I'm sure. I don't know, man, because now like I'm seeing like these people who Twitch. Do you use Twitch at all?
So
you heard of Twitch?
I have absolutely heard of it. Yes, I don't use it at all.
Okay, so you can really monetize video gaming if you know what you're doing, and there's like pro video gamers and stuff like that. So I've seen that develop, but dude, I remember the old Nintendo. I even remember Atari back in the day. And then the first Nintendo came out, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is unreal. Playing Duck Hunt, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a gun, and you can shoot the screen. Dude, it's all crazy. And then what it's become, and that was early 90s, right?
Yeah.
So I'm probably just making myself feel really old right now, but... and then it went like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and then you got into the Segas and PlayStations were huge, Xboxes. I don't even know if there's a new system out or is it PS4?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. They're 100% out. Xbox One and PS4, I think, are the newest, like the most updated models, if I'm not mistaken.
So. And then I saw the way computers really took on video gaming too, right? Mm-hmm. So I do remember the first video game I had for the computer was Max Payne.
Max Payne, yeah.
Yeah, that was legit, man. That was legit. And you had to use like WSAD as your to move yourself around. Then you use the mouse to shoot and all the. So you have a lot more buttons to deal with, but it's much more efficient as far as executing what needs to get done in the game. And now there's this thing called Fortnite. Yep. Have you heard of Fortnite?
Yeah, I've heard of Fortnite as well. This is taking over. I mean, I haven't played it, but it's crushing.
It looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
That has like some type of military tactics in it.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
With like some type of futuristic / fictional enhancement as well.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that people are filming themselves playing these games and they can get donated, right? So if you're doing really well, you don't even need to do really well. If you're a funny personality or if you're someone who can entertain people while you're playing a video game, people can donate money towards you. Yeah. And it's just... there's probably a lot of people making a lot of money playing video games for a living.
There's tons, man. So here's what's incredible. My company, Real Life Trading, we have every March is Kids Month, and I've been interviewing kids all month, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, and during my day trading rooms, and I mean, I'm learning a lot more about Twitch, but understanding like what it is and how it works, and I've always known about it, but yeah, it's getting huge, and people are just using it everywhere. I think the chances of that becoming almost like a celebrity or like an all-star, sports athlete is 100% a possibility, right? Where like,
what do you mean?
Well, for example, like you get the people that are paid millions of dollars to play sports. All they're doing is entertaining us. So,
correct.
10 years down the road, you get these people on Twitch, or you get these people who are just playing video games who are just the best of the best in the world, and they're going to get paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Oh man! Well, I apologize for any of our patrons that are really in deep into this video gaming community, because I do not know enough. Yeah. But I do know there's like video game teams, and like there's workouts, and like, hey, we got to meet at this room every day and do this, and working on moves and working on tactics, and even scouting other video game teams and looking what they've done and some of their tactics. I mean, it can get very in depth. And yes, it can. I think you're right. It can translate towards sports. But then you also look at, when did sports really first become a source of entertainment? And then you look at the Greek days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Colosseum
Mm-hmm.
and the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's transformed into what it is today with. And I'm a sports guy, you know. I played professionally and in college and coached in college. So I've seen that whole world, and how some of these kids are 18 years old and they're not seeing a penny. Now they're getting their schooling paid for, but their real talent is to play that sport.
Right. Yep.
And then these pros are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, but you could have an 18-year-old video gamer making millions of dollars.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. I mean, that is wow. And this is all that kids want to do right now. I mean, this is it. Like, they want to go on Twitch, they want to create an account, and they want to make money. And the thing is, like, parents out there is like, this is kind of a legitimate thing. Like, they can do this if they're good enough.
Dude, it's crazy. And what do you think? I mean, I know for myself what appealed to me for video games, but what do you think is so appealing for people to, and kids to, control a little figure on a screen, and, you know, whether it's shoot guns or run a football, whatever it is? What is that attraction versus going out and doing it yourself?
Shoot, that's a great question. I mean, I can answer that in a deep philosophical way. I think it's the ability to grow, and they attach themselves to that growth, right? So if you're a video game character and you can grow either your possessions or your skills or your attributes or your land or whatever you're trying to grow. I mean, most video games, like, the number one objective theoretically is some type of growth. Right, you're improving your armor, you're getting better, you're getting more speed, you're getting better shooting accuracy, you're making more money, you're getting more badges, and it's that growth that people are attracted to. But they don't have not the ability, but they don't have the inertia or the drive to want to see that actual growth, like, within themselves. They would either rather just portray it on the screen.
Yep, I can see that. Which also kind of brings us back to that one comment: uploading consciousness. Are we all just moving on to this new? Is the involvement of humanity moving away from these meat bodies onto something else? Who the hell knows, man? It's crazy. Meat wagons. But you have to. I mean, but you think these kids and. Again, I knew we were going to tangent line during this conversation, but I love it.
Sorry.
But you have these kids who probably are drinking a shitload of Mountain Dew, Red Bull, eating terrible, and just sitting in front of a screen for hours and hours and hours. They're not taking care of their bodies, and they're focusing on, yes, the growth and development of that character, or of that whatever it is that they are using, that vehicle they're using to achieve certain goals in that online world. Is I completely lost my train of thought. I had two other points I was going to make too.
It was this crescendo, and then you just left me hanging, man. I mean, the challenging part about it is, I remember when I played video games. I mean, it is fun, right? It's entertainment at its pinnacle form, because you, instead of watching other people compete for something, you get to actually compete, and you have that tangible evidence of, am I better than you at something that requires no physical energy? So one of the things I think would be cool, again, this is just an idea I've had for a long time. I know it's already starting to progress, but the virtual reality world, the VR world of video games, but having the ability to interact your physical body, I think would be really cool, man. Like, I was just going to bring that up. Do you want? I'm rating because I have some other points. Do you want to go down that road first? Yeah, let's go down that road, because I always envisioned, and this will happen. I mean, it's just a matter of time, where video games are going to be more physically demanding and stimulating. Because, for example, if you get shot and you get killed on a video game, it's going to have zero impact on you as a person. So you don't really care what's happening. You don't really train. Right. You're just going to go into the battle. I think that there's going to have like these shock pads that you wear, some type of like vest, where you get shot, it's going to like actually sting you, like where you got hit, and you're going to like, ow, and you're going to feel it, you know, and it's almost like paintball or
Dude, I would highly like to see the liability waivers for whoever's running that game.
But dude, that's just a matter of time. Liability doesn't matter to some of these people. I mean, they'll figure it out. I mean, they'll sign the waiver. People will sign the waiver. If you get a 100% immersive experience where you have to like run on a treadmill, you know, and
it's slowly getting there. It's slowly getting there. But but think about the connectivity element as well.
Okay.
So like, you know, there is some VR game. I mean, there's VR drone racing, and that's combining the physical world into the digital / online world. Mm-hmm. But you and I could sit at our homes right now and put on a VR set and have our drones over at some warehouse, and we could play each other one-on-one, and we could race our drones through the warehouse, and it's not no operation. It's just you and I from the seats of our own home.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
And I think there's a movie where there's people, and it's really twisted, but there's people who, like inmates, and were sent to life sentences.
Shoot, what movie is that?
And then there's a VR thing where people are controlling and people playing them.
I know it had
that's insanity.
Gerard Butler. He was in it. Yeah. I know exactly the movie you're talking about. That is, it was insanity. When I watched that movie, I mean, it was a pretty horrible movie, like the actual just movie, but the concepts were mind-blowing. I was like, yeah, I could easily see this happen, where people are playing real characters or real humans. That's going to be a long way in the future, but what about instead of actual, like, real football players, you get people that go to crowds or go to theaters or go to stadiums and watch people play football, like like on Madden, where instead of real teams, it's just control teams.
Well, that's another thing I was thinking about. Man, you reading my mind? Because
I'm reading your mind.
This is my next bullet point. is the death to traditional sports. When if you really think about what is, and I don't want to get too philosophical either, but the point of life and the human species as we know it, and this whole entire universe, and maybe there's other life somewhere else. But think about if you came down and you weren't of the species, and you start looking at just if you look down on the Earth from a plane's view. Next time you're in a plane, check it out. But watch how the cities almost look like sores in the earth, smog, and it's just like we're destroying that part of the earth. But then you zoom in a little bit closer. It's like, all right, now you have this big stadium. What the hell goes on there? It's an empty bowl, and there's this small field on it. What goes on in there?
Sure.
And it's just crazy to think about. There's 11 guys on this field trying to hit each other and tackle each other and physically beat up on each other, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people watching them.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, you go back to the Coliseum. I mean, the only difference in the Coliseum, it was actual life or death, right? You'd go out there and you have to fight a tiger or a lion.
And that's insane, too.
Yeah, well, humans are animals, man. I mean, that's, people love carnage. People love sports. I don't think that'll ever go away. I think, if anything, we're going to get more brutal.
Really?
Yeah. Where, I mean, it might not be like actual human bodies, but at the same time, it's like you can control characters, where you have like the fighting abilities, and like you mentioned that in that movie, you have people that they're just video game characters, but they have to build those characters over time, right? So there's a lot invested in that character, but when they go fighting and they kill each other, that character's dead forever. Like there is no replay, and so people really get invested into that character. Does that make sense? So it's like,
wow, that's a concept.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make a lot of sense. Whereas, like, you build up an actual human fighter in a video game, and you fight other people, but if they get knocked out or they get killed or whatever, that's it. They're done. And all that time and all that energy you spent on that character is over. It's done for. I think that would make tons of sense, man. I mean, because the UFC is getting more and more popular, but it's, like football, they're getting more and more regulations and rules behind it for the safety of humans, and I think that makes obvious sense. So it's like,
right.
Where does the line get created between what humans animalistically want to watch, which is just straight up brutally murdering people? That's what we want in our cores. I mean, that's what the Colosseum was built off of. That's what all that is. No one wants that, but that's what the entertainment field. I mean, you watch any movie, heads getting cut off, people just getting exploded, and people watch it all the time. That's like their animalistic urges. But then where does that line go to from, okay, humanity, saving the earth, saving the planet, being cautious, gracious, kind, and loving to other people? It's like, where does that line get crossed? And I think video games are a great way to splice that together. But you were mentioning some of the other cons. I mean, that's the I think that's the stereotype of professional video gamers, is that like the Red Bull, Cheetos, they're sitting on the couch all day 24/7. I'd love to know, and we probably should try to get a professional video game interview.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, because I think it'd be fascinating to go, man, what's your daily routine? Like, do you literally play video games all day?
Dude, do you do hand exercises? And how serious are you?
Yeah. Are you massaging? Like, that's a valid question.
You put rubber bands on your fingers and work them out so that you're quicker and stronger. I mean, think of like reaction time exercises too, and all that.
I know. That's things I haven't practiced any of that, and that's why I'm terrible at video games. I'm really bad. And
I don't have a console in my house.
Neither do
I obviously have my computer, but I'm very reluctant to download games or download anything that has potential viruses or Trojan horses behind it. So I don't have any video games on my computer either.
Yeah, you're very cautious with viruses.
But if I don't know, man, if because in college I always got what I needed to get done, but my roommates had video game consoles and I was on that thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I think if I had one in the house, I would probably find a game and really grow attached to it. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing work for other people. Us doing this, some of the other things we do. Me coaching kids. I like giving back. Back so people can take the knowledge that I've learned and use it elsewhere. Now, I could probably go invest the next 2 years of my life and become a phenomenal video gamer and go on Twitch and teach people how to do certain things. I don't want to spend it. I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah, we just don't have that drive. I mean, like I said, there are people who, if you love video games, the crazy part is this is going to be, man, it's an entirely different revolution. I mean, 10 years ago, if you go back, I mean, parents were like, grounding their kids if they played too much video games.
I know.
Really restricting it, which... It's like, we hadn't even brought up, we didn't even bring up Clash of Clans or Clash Royale. I mean, those games, dude, not only were people just enamored by these games, but the amount of money that those companies made off of just in-app purchases.
I don't know what Clash of Clans and World of Warcraft and any of that is.
Well, the good news is I do. I know about it. I was a Clasher for like 3 years. I played Clash of Clans every day.
And is this on a console, computer?
This is a phone app. That's the other games, like the games that you can download on your phone that are free, like Game of War. I'm probably missing like a million other ones, but like Stormfall, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. So those games are run by, well, not all of them, but there's a company called Supercell, which was making like $30 million a day off of in-app, a day, dude. Just off of Clash of Clans. And this was a stupid, like, dumb, characterized, like, cartoon game. The graphics weren't even that great. The battles weren't even that great, but it was just so new. It was so innovative. It was so easy to access. That was the thing. Is they put it into the palm of your hand. So you don't have to have a console. I don't have a console, but you have a phone. Download the phone, play it. It's literally free. So they have what's called freemium, where everything is free. But what they did, and it was so genius, is they made people pay to not be patient. So if you're upgrading a castle, it's like, hey, this castle's going to take 2 weeks to upgrade. You're like, nah, I'll pay $50. And you pay $50.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, you just pay $50 and boom, the castle's built. And it's like, genius! The people who came up with that were phenomenal. God. I mean, all they did was just hone in on what is the number one weakest point of most humans, patience and discipline. and let's make them pay to make it go faster, instant gratification. And they made and they're still making crazy money. Clash of Clans is huge to this day. Like, this is a 5-6-year-old game, maybe even older, and it is massive, man.
So
massive.
That's where we first saw cryptocurrencies.
That is one of the World of Warcraft, yes, was one of
I don't know which exact game it was.
Sure, yes, World of Warcraft.
Yep. That's where we first saw digitalized tokens of something being exchanged between people for services or goods.
Correct, and that was and remind me of the guy's name. He's one of the guys who talks about EOS all the time.
Brock Pierce.
Brock Pierce. So he was in that cryptographic world where he was, he has a lot of background in, and I'd love to get your viewpoint on him one day, but he has a lot of knowledge with those video games. That was kind of like, he was a child actor, so in that realm when he was a little bit younger, he was playing WoW a lot. And he built up and he built a few different companies, right? If I'm not mistaken, that pretty much trying to think of the exact word, but monetized those transfer of the freaking digital tokens on World of Warcraft. It was incredible.
It was insane.
Dude, talk. So you have Dungeons and Dragons, which was like the 1970s board game cult that people still play now.
Jeremy, this is actually getting kind of freaky because this was my seriously next bullet point. Go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Look, dude, that's how much me and you hang out. It's actually kind of fantastic. But you have the Dungeons and Dragons, which is 1970. Everyone's going in, they're playing, and people are like, "Wow, what nerds?" What's that called?
The board game.
Yeah, the board game.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, Dungeons and Dragons is like still around, but people made fun of everyone who played it. I have never played it. I don't hate on. I mean, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, that's fantastic. But World of Warcraft is like an under the ground thing that no one really openly talks about. But dude, there's like 900 million players still, and it's been around for like 20 years.
That's insane.
It is. I mean, maybe even longer than 20 years. Like that game, and they come out with new contacts or new updates. There's people who play it all the time, and that's what. When I was going back to the character that they build up over time, that's one of those games that really just broke through that, because when they build up their characters, man, if they die, they die. Like those characters.
Really? In that game?
Yeah, they can die forever. They can be killed. They can be sold. They can be transferred, and that's why it has like that intrinsic value, is because they can build up that character over time. And once you have a very, very powerful character, that's like, wow, no one can beat this guy because he's so powerful.
And then you not only that, but then you have this emotional investment into the amount of work that you've put into this thing. Mm-hmm. So, all right, you didn't fully cover my bullet point, but you started to touch it on the surface. But have you ever seen the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
What? No, I have not.
It's a great movie. And it takes place, I think, in like the 90s, maybe 80s. I don't know, whenever it was. But it's when arcades are still around. And the first opening scene is all the high school kids hanging out at the mall in the arcade, and everyone's playing video games, Pac-Man and whatnot, pinball. And you have all of these video games in this one big area, and there's this community feel to it, right? People go in there, they hang out, they, make conversations, they meet new people, they maybe try to hit on some girls. There's this community element to that video game world, but it was a mixture between the digital and the physical,
Sure.
Like who has the high score? Oh, and then they run into the arcade after school. Oh, this guy has a high score, and then you try to beat the high score and everything like that. I feel like that's transformed because now we don't see any of that, right?
That's true.
That's transformed into a few different fractalized branches, but one of them that we haven't talked about is the community aspect in video gaming, and I don't even know if it'd be called video gaming, but virtual communities.
Sure.
I'm gonna throw out one word here, and I think this will spark a good conversation.
Okay.
Sims.
Sims. I definitely played some Sims for sure.
Is that still around?
Still around, dude. Still around.
That's crazy because you're not really there's really no there's no goal, correct? Like you're not building anything.
Well, no, yes and no. You're right that there's no goal like your family or your person can't compete and be better than another family. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't have like the greatest family in the world and you can't go and attack other families, to my knowledge. But what's interesting about Sims is you get that growth in like your life form, meaning you get to, if you go to play certain games, it's like just a fictional character that's never existed on a planet that never existed, so it's like you kind of just detach from reality a little bit, and that's kind of enjoyable. But something like Sims, you are building a house, you're making money, you're going to work, and what it does is it makes life easier, and so you get attached or attracted to that easiness of life, where you're like, well, at least I have $1 million in this Sims game. I could do that in real life, but I just won't, kind of thing. And that actually sparked, and don't quote me on this, I don't know which one came first, but it's not called Afterlife, but it's about this, but there's another game out there where you just simply create an alternate version of yourself, and literally the entire game is just you talking to other people through a different character, and it's a life game. And all you are is just built a different extension of yourself.
I'm not sure. And I sneezed there. I didn't dab.
Just no, in case. You did both. You did both. So
I had to sneeze.
So that you know.
The community aspect around I don't know what that game is, but the community aspect around the gaming is pretty is very interesting. It's fascinating to me. The whole evolution of video gaming is interesting. Another one I want to throw out there is Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Roller Coaster. That's another one that was also very popular on the phone. It's called Second.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Second Life. Second Life. Check that out, dude. That's mind blowing. But yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon. You can get it on the phone, and they realize they're like, whoa, we're missing a massive market by not putting this, stuff on telephones and mobile phones. Yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon, I mean, that again, you don't really have any objective other than to make a lot of money in your park and build a really cool a roller coaster park, theme park.
So, I want to talk about how there's a lot of people playing video games.
Okay.
How can you monetize on that? For example.
Okay.
Remember Flappy Bird?
No.
Flappy Bird was this phone game where you just tap, and you try to keep this bird in the air.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Angry Birds. I was like, dude, it's not called Flappy Bird. But no, I've never heard of
I know what Angry
Bird. I've never heard.
No, the guy developed it for fun. Some random app developer did it for fun, threw it out there, and it just went totally viral, and he ended up shutting it down because he didn't want to deal with all the shit that was coming his way.
That's hilarious.
Completely overload. Like, leave me alone. I'm a quiet guy. I don't like all these people.
That's funny.
This game was just tap, and you had to keep this bird in the air, like gravity, right. Tap, bring it. Same thing with like the trigger. There's these repetitive movements, right? Is there a way, and that's energy that people are using, is there a way to monetize on what people are doing in these video game worlds where they're exerting their energy through these gaming consoles to, like, maybe it's mining Bitcoin. One of the biggest things I wanted to do is created this mobile app where it just has this repetitive tap. I don't know what it is. Tap. But every time you tap, there's an underlying code that is putting work towards solving an algorithm or something like that. But the more you tap, the faster it goes, and you're just generating something underneath. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, it's making sense. I'm just lost in, like, how in the world would that code actually work?
I have no idea. And if any of you guys out there in the world know, give us a call. We'll have a business meeting via Skype.
Via Skype. Yeah, I mean, no, the community access, that's a very good point, because I didn't think about the, like I said, the Dungeons & Dragons for sure was a huge community into that, but yeah, the pinball, like, people would surround, like, the high score, the Pac-Mans of the day, and everyone would know what everyone's doing, and I could easily see that. I mean, the people who monetized it were the people who built Twitch. I mean, congratulations for them. They saw that opportunity, and they hopped on that quick. But that's not it. That's not the only one. That's not the last one. There's gonna be a lot more coming down the line, and you're absolutely right. We need to I definitely need to brainstorm and figure out how to be a part of that, and how to create value for others and therefore create value for myself through that industry, because man, it is going to just absolutely wreck. It's going to continue to dominate.
It's getting bigger and bigger, and the more technology is advancing, the speed of computers, and we're just imagine an ASICs card that's mining Bitcoin put into somehow of a computer where you can game off of not a gaming card, but an ASIC. I mean, the speed is increasing, the graphics are getting better. Now we're bringing virtual reality into it. I mean, who knows where that? This is only it's ever expansive. You know. I would also like to bring up, unfortunately, the trolling aspect.
Bring it up, trolls.
I feel like a lot of people feel comfortable sitting in the comfort of their own home, sitting in their underwear, playing a video game. You have no obligation to anyone. You can really do whatever you want. But the online bullying / trolling aspect from some of these people is pretty unfortunate, in my opinion.
What's online bowling? What do you mean?
Trolling.
Oh, I thought you said bowling. I was like, I never heard that term.
Trolling.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that. I mean, that's the bully in high school, right? But it's easier because there's no recourse. There's no disciplinary action. There's no pain that's going to get involved or inflicted on that. I mean, if you have a good community and a good standard of use and good terms and conditions, you can kick a lot of people out like that come in and troll. But I mean, what's your point on it? Are you just saying it's a negative thing and it should be banned, or?
Well, I just think it does. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth of some players where, like Sims, you would have people who go in there and just do completely absurd things just to fuck around and have a good time. And yeah, I'm sure it's not hurting anyone, but it's just sometimes it's just how do you police that? Like if we're moving, what's the governance behind the community aspect in video games? It's usually community, the self-policing. And community, I mean, you can't really build code in because if you limit players on what they can do, they're not going to be attracted to it.
Right.
You're going to need the antagonists and you're going to need the heroes in a community type game. You're always going to need, there's that good and evil element, right? Good guys, bad guys, good football team, bad football team. But yeah, what's the policing or governance mechanism inside those?
Well, the challenge too is there's just so many games and there's so many platforms, right?
That was my wife giving me a kiss.
It better have been. You'd be in big trouble, man. What's up, Ash?
You're
How are you?
You're on the IR4 podcast.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I think that's a very good question, but like you mentioned, it's going to be so difficult because of just the overall huge community that's involved in that. Like, I mean, so many different games, so many different platforms. Where do you begin? Where do you start? How do you police? The other question too is like, as far as the payments and the rewards and things like that, how does this get put on the blockchain, Brian?
How does it get put on the blockchain? Yes, I mean, I think everything's moving onto the blockchain. We're already seeing that. There's already blockchains that have been created specifically for gaming, and they're under development now, and there's already games that exist. It's just a matter of really making them better now. But the reason I bring up the governing aspect is because if you like with that movie we were referring to earlier, what was it called? You looked it up. With
Gerard Butler? Let me look it up really quick. I'll tell you.
Oh, I thought you looked it up. But if it does get to a point where there's Jeremy, if it gets to a point where you're talking about there's a vest and someone gets shot and a little tack comes out and spikes them, like...
Well, no, I wouldn't. Well, I don't think blood. I was thinking like electric shock.
Okay, electric shock. Let's say someone has a pacemaker, or let's say someone has a heart attack. There's liability involved. There's going to be physical liability involved in the future.
Sure.
And I'm just wondering, are you going to have a video game police, or essentially the creators are the ones who are the ones governing it. And then we talk about blockchain and it being decentralized. It's just it's weird. I don't know who's going to be really overseeing all of that.
Listen to this. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Gamer.
gamer.
2009.
2009.
It came, dude. If you told me that came out in 2009, there's no way I would have believed you.
That's insane that they were thinking that far advanced.
That's a phenomenal. That's almost 10 years ago, dude. That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, I mean that you're absolutely right, dude. That it's going to come down to, and it is going to come. It is at that. You know, how do you protect other players? Because that's also going to be a big concern. Is just the physical in that trolling environment, making sure people are protected, making sure that the gaming is safe, that people like it, that they enjoy it.
Dude, I saw this the other day. It's called swatting. Have you ever heard of swatting?
No.
You want to talk about trolling, right? When you're playing live gaming,
okay,
some of these people can go in, see where you're. I mean, there's hackers all around, right? And they can see where you're streaming from. Look up your IP address. Look at where that physical address is. They call the SWAT team, the actual physical police SWAT team, and say, hey, there's guns and bombs and shit in this person's house. And if you just go to YouTube and check out the top 10 SWATs on video gamers, people will be playing their video game, live streaming. Next thing you know, police get on the ground. And you see SWAT teams come into the frame. Swear to God.
There's no way there's no way you're talking truth right now.
Go to YouTube.
I'm YouTubing it right now. I'm pulling this up. There's no way this is possible. It's called
swatting.
That's insane, dude.
That's insane,
that is
dude.
Insanity.
That's what I'm saying. That's definitely not legal. People making false phone calls saying...
Well, the thing is, I mean, I know you can't see my screen right now, but I'm pulling it up. I'm swatting
video gamers.
Rank. Spelled with 2 T's. Okay, that makes sense. Top 10 gamers swatted on live stream. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 13 million views, and it has like 111,000 up likes. This is 10 minutes long.
World, I think we're getting swatted.
Dude, it's insane. But think about if they're not on live stream.
Oh.
Think about it's somebody who let's say you're trolling, or let's say you're being a good character in a game, but someone gets pissed off, looks up your IP address, and calls the cops and says this person's a drug dealer. And your door's getting knocked down because you pissed someone off in a video game.
You blew my mind, dude. Again, every episode, you tell me something that just didn't even think about.
That's what I'm saying. Governance. Who polices these people?
Well, first of all, I think so. Okay, second question: how in the world does the SWAT team not have protocols for that, where they go, okay, we'll look into it, and then they just kind of like put them on a list, and they just
Jeremy, you're gonna be like this. Hey, listen, my neighbor has someone tied up in their bedroom and they have a gun. There's a hostage situation. You need to get everyone here. I mean, there's ways to make it.
Sure. But that person has to get arrested who makes that phone call. They have to.
Dude,
right?
if that person is sophisticated enough to go find where someone lives through an online game, they're probably sophisticated enough to know how to make an anonymous phone call without being traced.
Fine, Brian, you're right. Jeez, dude, that's just mind blowing. I didn't even cross my mind at any point in time that would happen.
Dude, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
When was that video uploaded?
Let me pull this up. So this one was January 21st, 2016, 2 years ago.
All right, 2 years ago.
But I mean, that's 2 years old. So I mean, who can even imagine what's happening now? But anyway, I mean. That's fantastically crazy that occurs. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Man,
dude, online gaming, man, crazy world.
Well, so I mean, that's going to get me into this discussion, like anonymous. I mean, dude.
Well, yeah, you look at the autonomy aspect of it, and then you look at the KYC or know your customer. When's it going to get to a point where a video game is requesting for you to go through the same procedures that are required when you try to open a new Bitcoin or cryptocurrency wallet, where they need your ID, they got to verify who you are, and then there's this credibility aspect, and now because if they go put in procedures like that, I'm sure they're going to turn away a lot of people who like video gaming, because the video gaming community is probably being anonymous a lot. But like the conversation we had with what's his name, the guy who is in Bali, we Skyped. Ash.
Yep.
Think about the amount of respect that would start happening if people were really who they were, and their reputation allowed for them to make money video gaming. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have this reputation in society as we know it, you know, but think about actually building and having that online reputation in a video game aspect.
Totally, and I think I 100% agree. I think that's very important, and I think that's probably where it's going. Is like, I mean, if you go to eBay or Amazon or Etsy or whatever, and you're a buyer or a seller, or Uber, for example, you get your ratings, right? You get your credence, your profile starts getting built up, and you have that rating, and you won't get picked up if your rating is not good enough.
You can still do that. You can still do that through, and by remaining private and not telling people who you are. But, and I do think, I personally don't really have anything to hide, so I'm not a hugely private guy. But I do think there's some things that can be remain private in one's life, and you should have the option to remain private or not. Mm-hmm. But if you don't want to share who you are, and you want a Coinbase account, or you want something that really goes through the proper steps to make sure there's no fraudulent or bad players, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think there can be a video game community that does the same thing. Why hasn't the video game community taken on that approach? I think they're scared because the majority of those video gamers like to remain anonymous. They like the trolling aspect. They like, it takes you back to the question of, do they want, they go and play these games to escape, and they go in and play these games to be someone else? Why can't you go be yourself? And why can't you use your real name? Why can't, use your real name, everything?
And if the security's in place, like you're mentioning, if you create that community, you create that environment, I don't know. I don't think that's happening on Twitch right now. I don't know. I haven't used it, but
I think it's just a username.
Yeah, but I think you're right. If you have the ability of like saying, okay, this is a professional league, right? If you want to be a professional video gamer, we pay out X amount. You pay a membership due. That's a great idea, bro. You pay a monthly membership due to be in this, and if you're in this, you're professional. We kick out all trolls. People have governance, if you will, and these are the games, right? These are the leagues. These are the payouts. These are the competitions that we host. And again, everyone just pays their dues. Like, I mean, if you go to rec league softball, you have to fill out waivers, liabilities, your name, your address, your phone number, not your social, but you have to fill out all kinds of stuff just to play like softball. And which I'm about to be doing, by the way, and so we need to talk about that. Are you good at softball?
I'm an athlete. And a mathlete.
What?
And a mathlete.
I'm an athlete. I am an athlete.
I am probably one of the nerdiest sports guys that you'll ever meet in your life. That's why I got along so well in high school with all the different cliques.
That is
the jocks and the guys who were playing, Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft. I think everyone has a special gift, and I think the video gamers out there, that's awesome, man. Like if you can really make a living, there's video gamers making more money than I am. That's cool, and they're probably having a hell of a time doing it. Probably have a good community, and I'm sure some of those tournaments, like overseas, they're flying around the world. They have sponsorships.
Absolutely.
They have fans. Like, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, it is. I love the pros. The pros massively outweigh the cons. There are some cons for sure, but like I said, I keep bringing up Clash of Clans. I mean, I know a guy who lives here in Nashville who is one of the top Clash of Clans players in the world, and I met him, and he's just. We'll probably should get him on the show at some point. He's just a random guy. The only way that you get good at that game and really advance is you have to spend a lot of money.
Really?
Yep, you have to. But
how much we talking here?
I'd have to ask him. I mean, probably $100 a week at least. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, at least. But I mean, it's $400 a month. If it's something you love, I guess whatever. But at the end of the day, yeah, he's one of the best, and they have like Slack channels, Discord channels. Like they are legit pros. I was in what's called a clan at one point that was very serious, and they would time their attacks, they would schedule things, they would tell people, and I was like, guys, this is too much work for me. I was like, I got stuff to do.
I got shit to do, guys.
I'd have to report like who I was going to attack and at what time, and I'd have to give them my strategy beforehand. I was like, guys, this is way too intense for a free game. Like,
holy cow!
So I'm not what's called a gymmer. So a gymmer is someone who will actually pay to play the games. Like I don't do gyms. Like I don't. So my team was already mediocre. It was always okay because I just always played for free. I never paid a dime. And anyway, so yeah, Clash of Clans, that was probably the only game I got that deeply involved in. But you would have teams that would they had an actual tournament. And I think they'd still do it in Switzerland or Sweden, one of the two. Every year, and they get these Team China, Team Japan, Team Korea, Team USA, Team Finland, and they all play each other, and they all have these clan attacks, and it is crazy town.
Dude, I think, for people who aren't that seriously involved in it, it's just, it's the entertainment element.
Right.
So on Sunday, if there's 900 million people on World of Warcraft, I'm sure there's sports fans out there, right? And there's tons of middle-aged guys who, especially guys, I know there's women out there too, which, by the way, if anyone knows of any women entrepreneurs, women highly involved in the tech realm or anything like that, send us their info.
Yeah,
we would love to get a female's perspective as to what we've been talking about, all different topics. That'd be awesome.
Yes, for sure.
But, those guys go sit down, crack a beer, and watch football every Sunday. There's probably just as many people who come home, crack a beer, and play some video games. Sure. It's a way of entertaining yourself. It's a way of de-stressing and, just having that escape from your normal reality. Because if you're just living in the monotony and the repetitiveness of your everyday life, that can bog you down. So it's something to keep people fresh. And I think that's great. People can use that as a stress relief. I think it's fantastic.
No, absolutely. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just like anything else. So I'd fully agree with you. I mean, I think that's, why not? If it's not, it's like anything else. So,
so I have one more point I'd like to bring up.
Okay.
Pokemon Go.
So
again, the cross between the digital into the physical. Yes,
dude. So here's the thing.
That was insane.
One of the truest posts I've ever read on the internet in recent months was the closest we've ever seen the world being in world peace was 12 days after Pokemon Go was released. Like everyone would just go outside with their video games and just interact. I thought it was phenomenal. I told everyone to go buy some Nintendo stock because I was like, there's zero chance that this doesn't go higher. And
did it go higher?
Absolutely did, of course. And people are still playing it. Their servers got massively bogged down. They just truly did not understand the giant propensity and how big this would be when it would launch. And it overwhelmed them. It overwhelmed them in a massive way.
That's what I'm saying. Same thing with the Flappy Birds guy.
Well, hey, when it happens, it happens. But bottom line is it's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible. And the overall fact is that was I never played it. Well, let me rephrase. I never personally played it. My girlfriend Ashley, she loved it for like a month and a half, 2 months. And so I would help her. So she would drive around and give me the phone, and I would have to like log in to get her Pokeballs or whatever. And so that definitely happens. That only lasted for a month. It's hard to do it tangibly, but I think there will be a comeback. Like I think the curve is going to do something like it did something like this.
Yeah.
And it's going to start doing in the upswing because they have tournaments and battles where you can drive to like downtown Nashville and battle another clan of Pokemon with your Pokemon.
Dude, but you have to be safe, and like, who has the authority to say that this public place is a gym or whatever?
Sure.
Or what? I mean, or who has the authority to say that there's this Pokemon that you can go catch in this public place and you get hordes of people impeding on everyday society and business.
You're all about rules, man. You're all about rules. You're all about rules. And calm down. People just want to play and have fun. But no. It's a very valid point. I mean, I don't know that answer. Like, who makes those? I think it's just the person who created the game. Like, yeah, sure, go have fun. Go enjoy your day. And I was like, wow, I don't know, guys. That sounds a little wild to me that people can just go out and just, crush it. But I guess it is what it is kind of thing. But I mean, that game was just mind-blowing.
Right.
It was absolutely incredible. But yeah. So by the way, I misspoke. There's only 12 million active users on World of Warcraft, and 900 was an exaggeration. But but those 12 million people, they pay like a monthly subscription. I do know that to be involved, you have to pretty much pay and so they're getting. I mean, Activision Blizzard is the company that does World of Warcraft, and just a quick. I know I can't see my my screen, but I'll give you just some really quick info. That stock price, Activision Blizzard. It went from, so let's say 2011 was at like $12 or something a share, give or take. It's at $70 right now. So
wow.
So you're talking huge. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger because they're launching more and more games. And then you have Take-Two Interactive, which is doing Call of Duty. I mean, my thing is I'm trying to teach kids also like how you can take this knowledge of games that you like. And if they're making a lot of money and you love them, go buy some of that stock. Be an owner rather than just a buyer. If you want to grow in a video game, grow in real life.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's another. I mean, and that's the thing with the blockchain. Like, dude, you can go purchase those like tokens that can allow you access into that video game. You can buy certain enhancements to that video game, but it also could be a representation of how well that company or that blockchain's doing.
Bingo, yeah.
And that is where the webbing of a utility token and a security token gets like this, and that's what's trying to be unwiggled between all the regulators and the crypto community. Crypto community says it's utility, it's a new asset class, and we've gone down this road. No, it's a security and blah, 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 blah. We don't need to get down the whole boring regulatory conversation.
But yeah, you're right. It's an interesting proponent because it's like if it's a utility token and you're buying these utility tokens, and these utility tokens, the more people buy them to access XYZ, can become safer, can become easier to use. It could, like you mentioned, it has that governance where it's like you don't have the token, you can't play. But if a lot of people start buying them, and then it just becomes pure economics, right? Supply and demand. If a lot of people want in, and it's again that token, that access, if you will. I think is a no-brainer. And blockchain is the only thing that can allow that to happen. It has to be on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It
is crazy. Well, dude, this was mind-blowing. You taught me a lot, as usual. So this was a fun conversation. And yes, just to wrap up, absolutely. If anyone out there, if you're a listener, subscriber, patron, ladies, we need more ladies in this space. Get at us. We want to interview you. You are the smarter of the two sexes. So we want to ask you questions. We want to know your thoughts about the future, whatever it is, whatever industry it's related to. We're going to start looking for some clean energy specialists. We're going to start looking for some dark web specialists, internet specialists. We got a crazy smart guy coming next week, dude. This dude is like Travis is. Oh man, we're going to go deep with him. This is going to be fun.
I think that the next time we'll be getting a in-house attorney for Bitcoin, not our in-house attorney, but a in-house attorney for a crypto group. It will probably be like a few weeks from now, a month from now, or 2 months from now, but it probably will come after the next regulatory announcement or hearing or whatever, maybe, just so that we can cover that full scope.
Sure. Let's put it in May sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the guy? Same guy I'm thinking about?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
If you guys have suggestions, though, man, my buddy who flies for Delta United, he's pretty fascinating to hear his opinion on the whole aviation space. Kind of cross pollinates with drones, but definitely get him on too.
Woo! Fourth Industrial Revolution is hot, folks. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to keep interviewing the specialists from around the world. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep creating those brain waves. We're going to keep providing fantastic content to you all. We're going to grow. We're going to help. We're going to teach. We're going to educate. We're going to learn. We're going to progress. And we're going to do it in real life. Folks from around the world, you are absolutely fantastic. He's Brian. I'm Jeremy. You absolutely rock. Thanks so much for being subscribers. Love, live, learn. We'll see you guys later. Woo! See ya.